I feel like falling in love. I'm in the mood to roll something up. Tonight I'm rolling something. I need some drink in my cup. Hey, I'm in the mood to pour something up. I wanna go missing. I need a prescription. I wanna go higher. Can I sit on top of you? I wanna go where nobody's been. Have you ever had fun like this? Oh, we gon' roll up tonight. Black lights, spaceships fly. Unapologetic when we pull up tonight. Roll it up tonight. We getting pulled up tonight. Sexy, my love. Don't miss this roll call as you hear a word. Show up, show up, show up, show up. Pow up, pow up, pow up. You Mr. Nasty, I clean it up. Go where nobody's been. Go where nobody's been. Have you ever had fun like this? I wanna go missing. I need a prescription. I wanna go higher. Gonna sit on top of you. We gon' roll up tonight. Roll it up, black lights. Spaceships fly. Unapologetic when we pull up tonight. Roll it up tonight. We getting pulled up tonight. We gon' roll up tonight. See far. That's you see stars. That's you elevate. That's you meet God. I feel like falling in love. I'm in the mood to pull something up. 'Cause we gon' roll up tonight. Hypersonic, sexy, erotic on my body. Boy, you got it. Hit them hydraulics while I ride it. Got me acting hella thotty. So excited, so exotic. I'm a seasoned professional. Squeeze it, don't let it go. Tease it, no self-control. I got time today. I got time. Oh, I got time today. I can't wait to come out and play. Ooh, yeah, you. Come and cup it, baby.
This was the 45th edition of the Athens Orthopedic Clinic Twilight Criterium. 80 riders in our pro women's race decided to be able to tackle this 1 kilometer circuit, 4-corner, very fast course. Everybody knows about it. Little touch of the wheels. We saw some riders coming down as different riders tried to be able to attack, to be able to escape. Also, another rider hitting one of the bumps on the road, taking down a few other riders as well. But in the meantime, Shannon Koch was very, very aggressive. Also, Rebecca Lang trying to be able to break up the race. But eventually, 3 riders would be able to break away, getting a 25-second lead. Alexis Magner, Ariel Verhoeven, and Kendall Ryan. And despite Alexis Magner and Kendall Ryan being sisters, they battled it out to the finish, and Magner becomes the first 3-time winner of the Athens Orthopedic Twilight Criterium. On the men's side, 120 riders took the start, and again, tackling the exact same course. The crowds were out, the noise was immense, and the spectators loved every second of seeing the speeds going over 35 miles an hour. Very different, though. Clever Martinez and Will Harden ended up getting into a breakaway and lapping the field in the very first 25 laps. Legion didn't chase. Kingdom didn't chase. The Blazers didn't chase. So 2 riders, less than a quarter of the way through, were 1 lap up. Finally, our local rider from Athens, Ty Magner, went on the attack, and different riders came to the front. Foundation tried to be able to control things at the end, and that is Brown picking up 3rd, but Clever Martinez on the right-hand side, he is your winner because he was 1 lap up, celebrating for Foundation as he picked up the win. On our podium, as I had mentioned, Magner on the top stet, Ariel Verhoeven and Kendall Ryan, and on our men's side, Clever Martinez, Will Harden, and Jim Brown. Peachtree Corners. It's the 3rd edition as well of the Curiosity Lab. With that, we'd like to be able to start off with our rider introductions with a great race coming off of 2nd place in green. Riders, we are 1 minute out. 1 minute out. Hey, as a reminder, 3 laps are over with 4 laps to go. No more free laps. Your neutral service is right behind you on the right-hand side.
where the white tent is. If you have any kind of mechanical, you go into there, you'll be able to get a free lap again. Free laps are over. You're racing at 4 laps to go. You're racing for 50 minutes, 5-0, 50 minutes of racing. Obviously, a little bit of time will go by, then we'll switch over to the lap cards. Top 3, we're not going to make you wait around. We're going to do your podium immediately after your race so you guys can rest and recover and get ready for the rest of the series. So top 3, the brick columns that are over there on the left-hand side, that is where your podium will be. Have a great race. Have a safe race. You've been around this course. It's the most challenging one we have at Speed Week. Peachtree, put your hands together. Let's get them ready as you're going to be going on the whistle.
All right, our women's pro field is officially underway. 50 minutes of racing. As Frankie mentioned, the most challenging course of the entire week here at Peachtree Corners. We're going to be heading down the home straight here into that notorious U-turn, big sweeping left-hand turn. They'll come back up the hill, right across from us. Then they'll to the difficult portion of the course. It includes a 13% grade up to the line. A far cry from last night's 4-corner race in Athens. We'll see who brought their climbing legs out here today to Peachtree Corners to get it done.
2. Check. 1, 2. 1, check. We were asked earlier, what is this race course like? And it is a banger of a crit course. It is 2 180-degree turns with 1 13% climb. That will sting the legs, especially after a night like last night in Athens.
Right off the bat, the automatic presented by Avis Riders taking control on the front. Kim Stoveld up in that mix. Also looked like Grace Arlinson in there as well. Of course, last night picking up a bronze medal was Ariel Verhaeren, the speedster Olympic level BMX rider showing her class. Going maybe just a little late in the sprint, falling just a little short on the line. A great result for that squad nonetheless.
Yeah, great observation, Bill. It's I was very fortunate to be able to work the BMX World Championships, and the speed at which these BMX racers can jump from the start date to 30 seconds is unbelievable, and transferred over well for Verhaeren. And as the post-race interview went, Alexis Magner said that Verhaeren has a big jump, and she had to work really hard to get her to back off.
All right, our leaders coming up into sight.
Party pumping.
Everything's still all together, but who knows? Maybe that's going to change, because guess what, ladies? We are going to ring the bell for the first preem of the night. $250 on the line to the winner of the lap. $250 to the winner of the lap.
If you truly want to get a good spot to watch the race, right there, if you're watching up on the Jumbotron, really doesn't do it a favor. A lot of these women have to grab a ton of brake, slow down, shift gears, and then stand back up again to accelerate. Turn number, well, I guess there's 1 and 2. Pretty challenging.
Everyone making it through that turn safely, coming back up into our line of sight just across from the stage. Kind of one of those races, I think, for the first few laps anyway. The action probably going to happen a little bit more at the back than at the front. Riders getting a little bit yo-yoed on some of these turns, suffering a little bit. And again, if they have not brought their climbing legs after last night's flat, fast 4-corner criterium in Athens, well, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble out here today.
Party pumping.
Automatic squad still sitting 2 riders right on the front. Everybody pretty content to just follow the wheels, settle into the rhythm of the race. 50 minutes is the total distance here tonight. And I think that's going to be more than enough to let things play out as they would. Riders now into that tight left-hand turn.
Oh, that's just... Like that little kicker out of that turn is going to do its damage later on in the race.
They can see the riders just having to scrub a little bit of speed to make that tight left-hander now heading towards that final 13% climb that will bring him back into our line of sight. We'll see who's going to take the initiative to go for that first $250 preem.
Yeah, we start to identify the styles of each rider. Some like to grind up the hill. Others like to get up and out of the saddle to get acceleration. In that scenario, though, you are supporting your own weight when you stand up. So it's a tricky beast, learning how to stand and climb.
Our riders now approaching the line. Who's going to grab that $250? That looks like it is going to be Valeria Cardoza Cabrera from the MBO racing team, putting $250 in her pocket early on in the race. Everything all lined out, pretty single files. They make that first turn at the bottom of the course, that U-turn, and once again, everybody getting through relatively safely. But again, that action really starting to happen at the back as we already see a few riders succumbing to the pace just a little bit. As you can see, everyone at the front still pretty content to just ride themselves into the race. This is one of those courses, it's very unforgiving. You've got to be a little careful with your efforts. You go into the red zone too early, you're probably going to pay for it pretty quickly.
Well, Frankie just got some intel. There's a lot of these ladies that are getting in, and men that are trying their first hand at crit racing.
Riders get through that tight left-hand turn, that first little pinchy point on the course. That'll get them across the parking lot and then make their way up onto the steep climb. Once again, Automatic still continuing to ride the front. I believe that's Ivana Blondie kind of setting the tempo, doing a little bit of the work early to set up her teammates. MBO Fount all still in the front, looking very smooth.
Hey, as a reminder for our pro riders, make sure to check in at registration. Black 10 across from us, make sure to check in, pro riders. Got our women coming up the hill right now very early on. Remember, 50 minutes of racing. We're going to calculate how long it's taking them to do the first, 10 laps. Then we will switch over to laps to go. But in the meantime, a little bit of cat and mouse going on as they're trying to be able to figure out who's going to ride on the front.
Looks like Kingdom Elite right now taking the reins on the front. That's going to be Justine and Thomas setting things up last night. We saw a lot of action from Shannon Coach, putting in some very big attacks, trying to get things going last night. didn't work out for at the end, but she was certainly a big factor in setting the rhythm of the race out there. So maybe Justine doing some work to try and set Shannon up for something a little bit later. You have to think with that diesel engine that Shannon has, this could be a very good course for her skill set.
The legs after last night, we talked about it all day. We couldn't project forward last night, but every rider that you talk to, especially after last night, and the energy that they spent racing their bikes last night, mental, emotional, physical, then come in here and you get slapped in the face like, oh, you yesterday. Well, guess what we've got for you today?
Yeah, it's a tough way to do it for sure. Fount right now on the front. And Kim Stoveld now taking the reins for the automatic presented by Avis Squad. There's about 4 riders now starting to fall off that pace just a little bit. Again, that action continuing to be a little bit more at the back than at the front, but that pace bound to start to ramp up here a little bit.
So that rider sitting in second position has an orange jersey on, so it looks very similar to what Automatic Racing is wearing, but that rider is on Legion of Los Angeles. She's just wearing the Jack Rue Leaders jersey for Speed Week, and that's Holly Breck in that grayish kind of helmet sitting in second position right behind, I think that's Kim Stoveld on the front. Holly Breck coming out of California, a couple big wins earlier this year, and this is the type of course I think that suits her pretty well. So she's just trying to be able to stay in position to be able to make it as easy as possible for her in these early laps.
Well, I think that's going to be a big key after the fatigue of last night. Nobody wants to go too gung-ho right out of the gates here today. You kind of want to ride into the race, especially given how challenging this course is. A couple of our Legion riders keeping themselves well positioned at the front. Kendall Ryan up there, Laurel Rathbun up there in the mix as well near the front, just trying to stay out of trouble for the moment.
Yeah, I don't think Kendall raced this last year. So with Kendall on this course, she's probably one of the better spinners in the field. But I'm not sure if this course is tailor-made for her. But if she could fight through each lap, then she is decidedly one of the favorites for sure.
Yeah, I have a feeling a lot of the pure sprinters aren't going to be really using a lot of energy at the front. Certainly in the early portion of the race, they've got to save those bullets a little bit because every single time up that hill, it's a big effort. It's going to sap a lot of energy that they're going to want to rely on later in the race.
Looks like it's up to Flicker and Fount on the very front of the bike race. And this is the kind of course, too, if you're persistent, there will be ebbs and flows where it'll be single file on attacks and then everybody will sit up. And you can see right there, a couple of the riders that were dropped early are now chasing their way back on.
Yeah, that can tend to happen early, but I think as the race progresses, and if those same riders are still having a little difficulty at the back, the chances of continuing to return back to the group are going to get a little smaller and a little smaller, just kind of part of the natural selective nature of the course we've got here. Maybe our first move coming as they come back up the hill across from us. One rider putting in a bit of a dig there, trying to start to shake things up just a little bit. That's going to be Claire Abry from the Apex cycling team. Claire going to be the first one to try and light the fire out here in our women's professional field tonight. Well, things certainly strung out a little bit now for the first time today. We've Rathbun tucked down there just a little bit. Taking the lead as they get ready to make that tight left-hander. Sometimes all it takes is that first attack to kind of spark a little more activity from the rest of the group. But both Automatic and Legion certainly tending to ride a little bit conservative here for the moment. Kingdom Elite riders very well positioned at the moment as well. year number 3 here for the Peachtree Corners Curiosity Lab Criterium, and it's already become a bit of a favorite for some of these riders due to its challenging technical nature. It's not quite your standard 4-corner flat, fast criterium. A little more goes into this. There's certainly some riders that favor that kind of a course. Looks like our Blazers now taking their turn on the front to set the pace as they roll on through. Everyone just kind of taking a little bit of a look around to see what's going on the front. That's going to be Alexandrine Obrand from the Golden State Blazers making an appearance on the front to showcase that squad. Followed by Jetty Pedreas in his second wheel. Once again, things still pretty much all together. The riders did see 12 to go at that time through, so they're now inside of 12 laps to go.
One would guess as we're closing in on about 15 minutes in. Still probably a little bit too early for the legs to kick in and argue. Looks like, again, Automatic has taken control despite Grace for the short term.
Yeah, it was Grace Arlinson leading him through over there. We talked a little bit about Ariel Verhaaren's fine finish last night, getting on the podium. That's got to be a big boost to the Automatic presented by Avis team. They've been a major player on the circuit for a number of years, but that was certainly one of their better results, I think, getting Ariel up into the mix and showcasing her sprint talent. So it's results like that can do a lot for confidence for not just Ariel, but the entire squad. So good to see them coming out here today and doing a bit of management on the front of the group.
Yeah, I think her and Alexis Magner probably had the same amount of speed. She just waited just a little too long as Alexis passed her last night. And again, Alexis alluded to in the post-race commentary that she was thinking that Verhaaren would be a dangerous sprinter against her. So it came down to Alexis's knowledge of the course, obviously being an Athens resident.
You know, we keep talking about that BMX background that Verhaaren has. If you will rewatch the video, he tried to come off the wheel really, really close to the line and really use that speed. And, you know, we all kind of commented if she had popped out about 50 meters earlier, could have been a whole different story last night.
That's experience. Knowing Athens Twilight course.
Well, and knowing your competition, right?
And
maybe
competition.
making a run at it a little longer, knowing that could tire Verhaaren out at the end. But either way, still a very good ride and a confidence booster, as it looks like Kim Stoveld now sitting on the front leading the charge. Legion dutifully tucked on the wheel. That's Kendall Ryan sitting second wheel as they roll through. And again, nobody really willing to lay it out there and show their cards too early on in this race. Just about 20 minutes into our 50-minute race, so not quite to that halfway mark yet.
That was actually a pretty peppy lap right there. Oh, and there's a nice turn by Stoveld.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can read the body language right now, and you can see that there's a big injection of pace right now. Kim Stoveld from Automatic still on the front, and she is drawn a bit of a group clear right now. Looks like maybe about 9 riders with a little bit of a gap over the rest of the group, and a lot of fractures as we go back this line. So this is what we would probably call the first pivotal point in our women's professional criterium. Is Automatic presented by Avis. Kim Stoveld is starting to drive this train. looks like maybe out of 18 or 19 riders, maybe as many as 20 on the front side of that split right now.
Stoville just again. She is single-handedly blowing this race apart. That works well for Verhaeren.
Kim from the Philadelphia area of Pennsylvania, and she's a bit of a local legend already with the way she rides, the amount of races she's won. She's very, very strong, puts in a lot of training around her full-time job, and she is just an absolute diesel engine and absolutely showcasing her talents out here right now, as it looks like Fount is going to go to the front, try and capitalize just a little bit. 3-4 riders maybe starting to split off of this initial group of 20. You can see riders already coming off of that group, Chad.
That lap, the light went out on a lot of the riders. It's like power's turned off, everything. Yep, there is a lot of women struggling on this lap. So we got ourselves a little field split.
Ariel Verhaeren leading things through. Looks like about 8 riders, 2 more on the chase, including Kendall Ryan, Laurel Rathbun in that next group of about 6 riders. We did see, I believe Holly Breck was up in that front split, second or third wheel. So Holly Breck riding a very heads-up race so far. She's not really hit the wind yet, but she's always been in second, third, fourth wheel and just kind of riding the wave and trying to stay as consistent as she can.
Bill, that lap did it. That lap is the one that really put this race in a difficult spot. And, you know, if we're going to add insult to injury pretty soon, our mid-race sprint points are coming up.
Yeah, I think we all knew it was coming. It was just a matter of when it was going to hit and who was going to be the animator. But, again, automatic presented by Avis coming out to play. Fount right now taking control of the front as well. So Fount, great to see those riders getting in the mix. Andrea Boutine, we talked about Andrea a little bit last night as well, throwing down some good moves, trying to get something going in Athens, and he's right back after it here today. Ivani Blondin in there, Kim Escobar, Peta Mullins also in that mix, along with Claire Abry.
Yeah, Peter's doing social media for Speed Week. So is Lucas Burgoyne. I approached him and said, hey, look, can you guys do a diary daily and make it fun? And they are taking it to task. They are having a lot of fun posting. Lucas, I think, yesterday did one from the car wash.
That sounds pretty on brand for Lucas. It's all about fun here at Speed Week. Some of the best criteriums in the country. Happy to have everyone here joining us. Once again, this is the 3rd year for the Curiosity Lab at Peachtree Corners. I think unequivocally the hardest race of the series so far. Well, things start to settle down in that split. Everyone kind of reassessing. We've got 3 Kingdom Elite riders also in that mix. You can see the stars and stripes of Shannon Coke's sleeves there, so we know she's in that mix. Laurel Rathbun up there as well.
Peter Mullins actually was like, I'm tired of getting popped on the splits. So she jettisoned herself straight to the front, the former Australian national road race champion. And there goes Rebecca Lang. You knew it was going to happen. At what point it was going to happen is this race, she's being a lot more patient. I like the style and I like the energy that she's showing.
Yeah, last night at Athens, we were talking about Rebecca, but she was hitting out maybe a little early in the race. So good to see she kind of went back to the drawing board and kind of figured out to wait it out a little bit, pick her moments a little bit better. Swinging off right now, the automatic presented by Avis girls, kind of taking a look around, trying to see what the situation is.
Verhaeren, of course, straight on task. Marked Rebecca. You had Coke, Peter Mullins, Pradera, Stoville, Rathbun, Ryan, Blondin, Escobar, and Abry. Abry's a bit of a solo act out there, but racing very well.
Yeah, Blondin, another one of those automatic riders that we talked about a little bit last night. Very, very strong rider and a world-class speed skater as well. So another rider with great crossover skills here into the cycling world the last few years.
Tell you what, automatic is not playing around right now.
Yeah, they're causing, look at this, Chad, they're causing another split. So they are drawing another 4 or 5 riders clear, and that is once again, that's Verhaeren doing a lot of the work. So Verhaeren obviously feeling pretty good after last night's race and trying to draw another split clear with her teammate and a couple other riders.
Followed by Breck, that lap.
Rebecca Lang also up in that mix, riding solo for the Winston-Salem team, the Velocious Sports Squad out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, run by former national champion John Hamlin. John doing wonders with that squad over the years, and they've got a developmental team of youngsters on up through elite riders.
Like we said, when the light goes out, man, it's like the engine room is calling for more power, and the brain is saying, I'm sorry, I can't send any your way.
Well, that's why we saw so many riders riding conservatively those first 5-6 laps, because they all know when you go into that red zone, you've got to be very, very careful. If you can't recover, it absolutely will be lights out on this course.
We talked about Fountain last night and their mission to develop cycling, and they made their way over from the West Coast, and here they are. Just a little bit of misfortune, but not being able to capture the podium this week so far.
I suspect that might be Andrea Boutine who we're looking at.
I would concur. All right, ladies, here we are. We are at the mid-race point. All right, ladies, mid-race sprint. Mid-race sprint. Mid-race sprint. Points. 10, 7, 5, 3, and 2. A split of a split.
Yeah, I think this that front selection is going to continue to evolve a bit throughout the course of this race. And just like last night, every time we saw one of the sprints, very quickly on the heels of the sprints, you saw a little bit more aggression, and those were some of the very defining moments of the race. And I think, again, alluding to how difficult this course is, I would suspect that this is going to be another big moment coming up on the heels of this point sprint. Remember, points are 5 deep, 10, 7, 5, 3, and 2. And cash. Can't forget the cash. Never forget the cash.
Never. All right, same. Nothing's changed right there. Verhaeren, Breck, Stouffveld making it across. And again, we talked about there's a split on the split, which means we had 40 riders, then it went to 20 or 17, and then it's splitting again to another 8. Strongest will survive.
You see Stouffveld made the catch there to make that group 9, and she went right around the left and was heading right to the front because she recognized the opportunity, already having a couple of teammates in that split, so she knew if she could get to the front and stay on the gas, that this could be a very, very big move.
Some of the biggest mistakes that amateurs make is that when they get dropped and they catch back on, they stay in the back. No, if you have a little bit more energy, go as far as you can to the front, because if there's another acceleration, you have the ability to be able to jump on the back instead of getting dropped again.
Yeah, at the very least, carry that momentum, right? Never
break.
Give away free momentum. Right now, 3 automatic presented by Avis riders on the front. We've got Fountain in there. A couple Kingdom Elite riders have made that split. I believe Kendall Ryan up in there as well. Yeah, we see Kendall rolling through.
I'll be curious to see how Kendall tackles this finish coming up in about 8 laps.
Yeah, as you alluded to, obviously she's probably one of the faster sprinters in the group, but this course maybe not to completely her liking. So yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see how she plays this out, especially against 3 riders so far, or 4 riders maybe of the automatic Avis squad.
Tell you who looks pretty solid is Verhaeren. She's covered, and covered again. So Verhaeren looks very comfortable. Followed by Holly Breck of Legion. And then straight on her wheel, of course, over the past 6 laps.
We've talked about her a few times. That's Alexandrine O'Brand. Alex O'Brand for Blazers.
It looked like Verhaeren and Breck going 1-2 through the line there to grab the points and the cash. We'll get a head count on the number of riders in this split, but it looks like it's grown again just a little bit. A few riders making it back into the selection. We see Lang in there. Blazers have some representation. Flicker also We started right around 5 p.m., 50 minutes the total race time. We're now at about 5:35. 6 to go is what they saw on the cards. Time very quickly whittling down here in our professional women's event. The third edition of the Curiosity Lab at Peachtree Corners Criterium here.
And coming up on the other side of the course is going to be our chase group.
I'll tell you, Chad, to me the big question is now, how does both Legion and Automatic play these cards out in this scenario? I mean, I think we know what Legion is going to do. I think we know that Kendall's going to try and keep things together for Holly. Meanwhile,
Stoville.
Automatic seems like they're on a different mission right now.
Yep. So it looks like Stoville has caught her wind and it's going to go again. We're going to do the 5 to go and a points sprint. Point sprint, 5 to go. Point sprint, 5 to go.
Once again, Stoveld leading the charge. Holly Breck very smartly on the wheel. She knows that Stoveld is a very, very strong rider, a tall rider, offers a great bit of draft on this course. So a very good, smooth wheel to be on. Boutine, Verhaeren also up in the front of affairs right now.
Things you would never thought you would say that Kendall Ryan would see more wind than Holly Breck.
Yeah, Ryan normally the protected rider for the sprints, but with Holly Breck in the squad this year, that gives them a lot of different options to play out, and so far it's been working out very well for them. Tell you what, there's a lot of riders in this group we haven't really talked about a whole lot either, and they could prove to be some surprises as the race whittles down a little bit. Several riders from Kingdom Elite in there, and we've also got rider number 45 riding for the Liv SRAM squad, Peta Mullins, and we can't count Peta out ever. And Peta very smartly sitting back there about halfway in the group, which is a pretty good spot to be. Everyone always tells you to ride at the front. Well, nobody ever means literally ride on the front.
Yeah, no, near.
Exactly. Ride near the front. Ride third, fourth, maybe fifth or sixth wheel just to stay out of the wind and be able to see exactly what's going on out there and be able to react if you need to. And Peta Mullins has been doing that in textbook fashion today.
Yeah, and a lot of amateur racing, all the coaches are like, hey, get near the front. Well, not everybody can get near the front, and that's why it gets kind of messy. But in elite racing, you know your job, and you know your job is to be on the front or near the front. So right now, it's Holly Breck is near the front where Kendall Ryan is on the front. There's a subtle difference. Everybody's got their job to do inside of this little circus that is crit racing.
Don't forget, we are on a sprint lap currently. It's going to be another 5 places, 10-7. 5-3-2. We'll wait and see if this sprint lights anything up again, see if it serves to split our group. We're looking down towards the neutral pit area, looking at our motorcycle. Should be coming into view here in just a moment. We'll get an idea who's going to challenge for the point sprint.
10, 7, 5, 3, 5, and 2, or whatever it is. 10, 7, All right, so it's going to go Kingdom, Shannon Cope, Verhaeren, Breck, and then Imani Blondine, who is, believe it or not, how talented she is. She almost won Speed Week last year and then crashed with about 1 lap to go, and it lost her that. But her really, where she's the most talented in the transition from one sport to another is speed skating. I mean, she is world class. And they usually transition well, speed skating, running, soccer players.
Well, we certainly know that speed skating is a great transition. Riders that grew up in the Midwest, that's what a lot of riders did in the winters. You speed skated for cross training, then you race bikes in the summer. And everyone remembers all the way back to 1980 a certain speed skater named Eric Heiden, who became a U.S. professional road race champion and went on to ride the Tour de France.
And ironically enough, Bill, a lot of the athletes like snow skiers, runners, whatever, they found the bike through recovery after an injury. And they're like, wait a minute, I kind of like this.
Yeah, it's a great low-impact training. It's easy to see why a lot of people get drawn into our little world here of bike racing. Well, that sprint did not really serve to offer up any counterattacks. Everything's still all together. Automatic presented by Avis, still patrolling the front of the group. And again, we talked about Ariel Verhaeren was doing a lot of the dirty work early, and you have to wonder if that's going to blunt her finish speed just a little bit. So maybe they're trying to set things up a little bit differently for the finish here today.
And that's a wonderful point, because if she doesn't have anything for the sprint, she will have learned something. Don't work so much to start.
Don't forget, coming up at the conclusion of this, we've got one more race to go today. Our men's professional event coming up next. We're going to see all the top riders that you saw whipping around the streets of downtown Athens last night. Well, they're going to make the trip out here to join us at Peachtree Corners, and I'm sure that'll be another phenomenal race here as part of Speed Week. Let's not forget, Chad, Kingdom Elite. You can see that they've got 2 or 3 riders in this group, so we can't count them out, even though we've not really talked a whole lot about their presence up there.
And it's interesting, they're outside of Coke, they're really trying to saving energy. They're letting everybody else battle it out, and they're just kind of just going quietly about their business.
Yeah, sometimes it's the riders that you don't talk about a whole lot that become the biggest influencers in the finale of the race. So we'll see if that plays out. But look who's on the front right now. Kim Stoveld continuing to drive the train on 3 laps to go. So inside of 3 laps to go.
If I had to give you a guess who was second wheel that has a similar riding style, who would that be?
I'm going to go with Shannon Coke.
I think you're right.
Yeah, those 2 riders, we were talking off mic between races earlier, and if those 2 riders got together and Rebecca Lang,
jeez,
that would be bring back the team time trial, right? Those 3 riders would be a phenomenal team time trial unit.
I would not want to be in that group of 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be the 4th rider.
Hey,
pull them.
through. Yeah, pull through.
Yeah.
No, thanks. Pass.
I'd be the gatekeeper in that team time trial.
Just enough to take a few pulls and then pray that out of the 4, you're the 4th. Gone. It's up to you guys now.
Rebecca Lang coming up the left-hand side of the fencing, throwing down another move, and it looks like Verhaeren very quick to latch onto that wheel. So Lang obviously very well marked. Her strength is notorious in these parts. The young Winston-Salem rider, very aggressive.
I like her patience today. Yep, look, she's taken. Wow, she's taken maybe, it's hard to see, Verhaeren maybe with her. So she does a little elbow flick, and I think Verhaeren is going to be agreeable on this.
Yeah, that's interesting. All the work Verhaeren's done, she's actually coming through to pull. That's not what I necessarily would have expected, but the rest of the group not too far off the wheel. I believe that was going to be Kendall Ryan leading in the charge for Legion there, trying to keep Holly Breck still in the mix.
This lap is going to be a decisive one. With so many counters here, it would be lights out.
Yeah,
Who has it?
One would think that one of the Kingdom Elite riders may be plotting a move here in the closing couple of laps, that 2 to go or 1.5 lap to go maneuver, where all the sprinters have their mindset is turned into thinking about the field sprint, and then they forget about anything else, and that's really a good time tactically to try and make your move.
So Frankie's been working out his right and his left biceps for the bell ringing. All right, attention riders. We have the Curiosity Lab Gambler Preem, $250. Gambler Preem. Attention riders, $250. $250 for the win on the next lap. Gambler Preem, Gambler Preem.
I'll tell you what, Chad, when I was racing, I was not a big fan of the Gambler Preem, but now on this side of the fence, I love it.
Right, yep.
There's always somebody who's willing to take that risk to get the money, and every once in a while you see someone go for that Preem and actually be able to get a little bit of a gap and stick it. I've seen that actually happen a few times.
Were you still racing in Vegas when we did the $5,000 Gambler Preem and Yvonne Dominguez got it?
I was.
Oh,
yeah.
Gilbert thought he had it, and then Dominguez came by him, $5,000 Gambler Preem, and I was telling to Michael Ball of Rockin' Republic, I was like, are we really going to do a $5,000 Gambler Preem? And we did it.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. That was the biggest Gambler Preem that I certainly recall hearing.
You're close to getting it, though.
Not that one. I did get a Gambler Preem at Spartanburg one year, though.
Oh, you did, huh?
Yeah.
Well, hey, speaking of Gambler Preem, where'd you finish up after getting the Gambler?
Not very well. But I had 2 other teammates. One got on the podium, so that was good enough for me.
Was that Rite Aid?
That was Target Training Days, 2006. We've got automatic presented by Avis. Kim Stoveld once again taking up her role at the front of the field, leading things along, and not necessarily attacking or going full gas, but going just hard enough to discourage the rest of the riders. She's got one of her teammates on the wheel. You can see, Kendall Ryan and Holly Breck on the wheel there as well.
This has got kind of a privateer feeling. Somebody that really hasn't done much might try to jump in and get this 250. Somebody that hasn't spent a lot of team time going, pushing the pace, attacking, whatever. So watch for somebody that we really haven't talked too much about try to get this Preem. Well, when it's Kimberly Stovell's on the front, makes it a little bit harder to do. Stoveld is just, I think she's just switching into another gear. She's actually trying to lead out the Verhaeren for this, I think. All right.
2 to go, riders.
1 to go,
2
ladies.
laps to go for this group. 2 to go. Oh, Chad, look at this. We've been waiting for this moment. Here comes a significant
guess what? We're going to
move.
get it. I asked earlier, all right, riders, we've got 1 to go, 1 to go, 1 to go, 1 to go, 1 to go. Verhaeren gets it, and guess what? Everybody's going to finish in this lap. We've talked about it ad nauseum over the past couple of nights. We thought the catch was going to happen. There is undoubtedly. So all those riders are unaware that they're not going to have an extra lap.
That was actually Ivani Blondine grabbing that.
Good call.
Grabbing
That's
that
right.
frame, just sneaking up on the outside of Shannon Koch there and grabbing $250 to throw into the team kitty there. And that stretched things out just a little bit. Looks like 1 or 2 riders struggling now to stay in contact as they're now inside of the final lap of our professional women's event here at Peachtree Corners Curiosity Lab.
Look at how, well, you know what? They might just hold it off.
Well, there's Claire Abry from the Apex Cycling team now on the front. She was a rider that we talked about early in the race. our leaders coming
There
through.
go your leaders with that. Now, Bill, don't be surprised if they have to get through the shrapnel when they do their sprint from the chase group. That is one thing we don't want, but it's 100% going to happen.
Yeah, Verhaeren from Automatic on the front of the group. And yeah, absolutely. They're going to make the catch on that chase and have to thread their way through. This is going to be a great finish today. Folks on the outside of the fencing, don't be afraid to make a little noise. Our professional women have been putting on a phenomenal show here for the better part of 50 minutes, and it's all going to come down to this. The last half a lap of racing, 16 riders still in the hunt. Who's it going to be as they make their way towards this climb for the final time here today to decide the champion of the Curiosity Lab at Peachtree Corners Criterium?
I think this group might just escape. The lead group is accelerating. The chase group doesn't know what's coming up from behind.
Our riders are out of the saddle, making their way up the hill right now.
Everybody will be done on this lap.
All right, we've got our leaders coming into sight right now. Looks like Automatic presented by Avis. Down the middle, though, Holly Breck. Who's it going to be at the line?
Oh, Breck on the inside by a hair. Everybody's done. Everybody's finished.
What a finish right on the line. Holly Breck just getting around the outside of Ariel Verhaeren with Jenna Netzman from Kingdom Elite rounding out your podium.
You know what? I am super impressed with all the chase group, and here's why.
So that chase group indeed thankfully moved over to the right, gave way to our leaders, so that sprint ended up being a little cleaner than we might have thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
So Holly Breck taking a very nice win. Ariel Verhaeren, after all the work she did all day long, still had a little bit of gas in the tank there to come away with second on the line.
Hey, ladies, you guys were finished on the last lap. Ladies, you were done on the last lap. Ladies, your race is over.
What a great finish for our professional women, putting on a great show here today. Don't forget, we're going to do our women's podium pretty much immediately here. That will take place down at the brick pillars there by the City Hall sign, just across from the stage and down the hill a little bit. So we're going to be looking for Breck, Verhaeren, and Netzman to report to the podium. Coming up at 6:15, our professional men's start. So just about 20 minutes from now, we'll get our professional men's race underway.
Hey, guys, don't forget we're doing the women's podium real quick, so we'd appreciate it if you guys would.
Women's podium is going to come up pretty much immediately down at the brick columns opposite the stage, just down the hill right by that City Hall side. So we're going to look for our top 3 women, Holly Breck, Ariel Verharen, and Jenna Nessman to please report to the podium. We've got our man Chad Andrews down there on the street. He's going to get a little word with our winner here today.
Let me see if I can break up this party real quick. So I'm getting intel on what happened during the race between Laurel Kendall and Holly. And tell us a little bit about this race course after. Frankie, Bill, and I were talking about, after Twilight, it's a totally different course. But it, in our opinion, is a harder course than last night. The energy was different, but the course tonight is harder. What is your thoughts about that?
Oh, yeah. No, I agree 100%. This course is kind of an attrition course. It's just so stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, whereas last night was just fast and steady fast, so completely different.
So when the split happened, and then the second split happened, and then the third split happened, Kendall and Laurel were doing as much as they possibly can, but really in the end it came down to you. Where did you find the strength to come around at the very end?
I mean, I couldn't have done it without them too. Kendall covered quite a bit in the last few laps, and I had gone with a few, and it was just, I needed help, so I was super thankful for Laurel and Kendall both, and couldn't have done it without them.
And the bike throw at the end.
I know. I think I need to work on it a little bit, but I was excited to semi-throw.
You only need a bike tire, and you got it. So your winner today for Legion, Holly Breck. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We're going to send you guys over the podium.
Thank you, Chad. Awesome. Holly, if you get a chance, head over to the podium. Go down the sidewalk, and we're going to go to the brick columns. We're going to do your podium right now. We have the other 2 over there waiting for you. What a great race with our pro women here. Hardest course of Speed Week, and this race broke apart. Had about 60 riders on the front that started off attacking with each other, and it all broke up, and in the end, came down to an elite group doing a sprint. We've gathered up our trophies, very unique trophies here with our Curiosity Lab right here at Peachtree Corners. The 2025 event as our pro women just finished up. Congratulations to a great race. I'd like to be able to start off in 3rd place, racing with the purple jersey.
Could you use one of these bike wheels to replace your flat trailer tire?
It's all for science.
There's an unreal feeling to get lifted up by 4 leaf blowers. That is pretty cool.
Meet Jonathan Thompson, an international travel writer on a mission to discover the most dynamic adrenaline-fueled destinations on the planet. Join Jonathan as he explores the world's best adventure cities.
Welcome back to the 2nd annual Outside Festival, presented by Capital One REI.
Those are your top three. Congratulations once again. Breck, followed by Varharan, followed by Nesman. It's 1, 2, and 3 here at the Curiosity Lab for our pro women.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get it up. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there.
Heat in the kitchen, hot on the stove, water getting boiled, dope being sold, Snoopy in the hootie, system overload. I've been running this rap game since I was 20 years old. I hung with the worst of them, bust till I burst them up, floss them up, toss them up, harder work, close them up. Pardon me, I'm bossing up, brace you up, bless you, bro, don't mess with us. We like the U in the 80s, back to back, set a track, hit the lick, get it back, get the trick, jump the track, bitch, I want my money back, time and time again, while I'm sipping on this gin. Al Davis said it best, just win, baby, win.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get it up. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there.
Riders, just hang out. You have about 5 more minutes until we even start our rider introduction. So opening ceremony is not starting for another 5 minutes. And again, you're scheduled for a 6:15 start. We're on time and on schedule as we are getting ready for our Curiosity Lab right here at Peachtree Corners. 3rd edition of the race, and arguably the hardest of our...
Meet Jonathan Thompson, an international travel writer on a mission to discover the most dynamic adrenaline-fueled destinations on the planet. Join Jonathan as he explores the world's best adventure cities.
Bike wheels to replace your flat trailer tire?
It's all for science.
There's an unreal feeling to get lifted up by 4 leaf blowers. That is pretty cool.
Welcome back to the 2nd annual Outside Festival, presented by Capital One REI.
Surf's up, y'all. Get ready for splashes and crashes as I try to ride tasty waves with pro surfer Cassia Metter.
Surfing is about being in communication with the ocean.
I saw its eyeball.
Last year, a very close competition. Alfredo Rodriguez coming out on top, winning the overall Speed Week competition. It was Michael Garrison leading going into the last day, and a little bit of a technical error ended up costing him the win. So both of these riders have that on their mind as Alfredo Rodriguez coming in for some of these races, starting off with the Athens Twilight Criterium yesterday. Have about 80 riders on the start line for our pro men. Once again, we're getting a little bit closer as we're inching. 2 more minutes until we start with our opening ceremonies here at the Curiosity Lab on day number 3 of Speed Week.
Let's go, I'ma kick.
Unfazed, unbothered, with a boo, why bother? I'm that, and you ain't on. I'm a get money type of. If you ain't getting money, don't type me. Crocodile Birkin might bite him. Can't hang with her if I don't like them. These niggas in these.
Just another minute or two, and we will get into our official call-ups here for our pro men. They're going to be racing for 1 hour here this evening, and I'm sure that that's going to be more than plenty around this challenging course here. We've seen all of our races throughout the day end up splintering into, at best case, some smaller groups coming to the line together. I would imagine we're going to see a little bit of the same here today, so a little bit of a different theme than what we saw last night in downtown Athens for the notorious Twilight Criterium. Group of 2 sneaking away early in the race, grabbing that lap on the field. A lot of other riders tried throughout the night, but nobody could get much of a substantial advantage before everything came down to a bunch gallop for 3rd place on back, and a pretty big group actually finishing together in that mad dash to the line that saw Mr. Clever Martinez take out a big victory over Will Harden.
Coming up right now in about 6.5 minutes out, so why don't we get started with our rider introductions. We're going to be able to start off with the 27-year-old. He had an incredible ride last night, picking up a 2nd place at the Athens Twilight Criterium. This puts him into the Jack Brew Leaders jersey. Please welcome to the line, Will Harden. Will's tucked in the back. Not sure why he didn't know he wasn't getting a call up, but he'll make his way up here as he gets up. Look at that. That's our Speed Week Leaders jersey, Will Harden. Excellent job out there.
Our next call-up, this young man is 19 years old. He's a former junior national Criterium champion. He was the winner Thursday evening in Greenville, currently sitting 2nd overall in the series. He rides for Team Cadence Skyline, the California King. This is Luke Fetzer.
Coming all the way from Great Britain. What an incredible sprint to be able to win the field sprint at the Athens Twilight Criterium. That's a 3rd place at Athens. That bumped him up in the standings to 3rd overall with our Speed Week standings.
wearing the red-colored jersey, Jim Brown.
Up next, we've got another member from Team Cadence, currently sitting 4th overall in Speed Week. Please welcome Richard Holek.
He'll eventually make it up here. Maybe he'll end up on the second row. How about if we welcome up another rider? He wore the purple jersey yesterday. Threw me off because normally he's wearing in a green jersey. One thing that won't throw you off is he's going to make the breakaway. Loves going away solo. The super strong, sitting 5th overall in the Speed Week Series. We're looking for Michael Garrison.
Well, if you were with us last night in downtown Athens, you saw this guy lap the field and post up in the field sprint as the winner. He rides for Team Foundation all the way from Venezuela. This is Clever Martinez.
Coming all the way from Colombia. Riding for the Biker Cycling Team. 7th place overall in the Speed Week standings, Juan Arango.
Next up, this rider's currently sitting 6th overall in Speed Week. Last year, he took 3 ACC wins. He's now riding for the Kingdom Elite Squad. This is Brian Gomez.
Now coming on to his 3rd year with the Legion of Los Angeles. If you're looking for someone to attack with, this is the man you want to be with. Currently sitting 13th overall in the Speed Week standings. This is Robin Carpenter.
Our final call-up rides for Team Flicker. He's one of the local heroes from just up the road in Athens, Georgia. Join me in welcoming to the line Andrew Scarano.
Not really seeing him. The rest of the riders move up to the line. Lucas, you little devil. Hey, welcome, riders. Excellent job. You guys have had a chance to go around the course. You know there's a couple tight turns. There's a nasty curve down at the other end, so pay attention to that. Riders, final instructions. No more free laps with 4 laps to go. No more free laps with 4 laps to go. Your pit is behind you as you're coming up the hill. It'll be on your right-hand side, the white tent. If you have a mechanical flat tire, you go into there. Be able to take your free lap. Pretty large field, and this is a narrow course. So if you are out of contention, if you're off the back, if your referee is blowing the whistle at you, you are coming out of the race. We are pulling riders that are not in contention. At no point, ride backwards on the course. You could obviously cut the course to get into the pit area. Want you guys to have a safe race. Also, immediately after top 3, when you come across the line, you're going to go down your cool down lap. You're going to come back up here, immediately go to the podium, which are the 2 brick pillars on your left-hand side. That's where we're having our podium right after your race.
Course is clear. Timers are ready. The officials are ready. Riders, you're going to be going on the whistle. That's our pro min as we're underway, tackling the hardest course of Speed Week. Riders, you're going to be going for, I forgot to tell them, 60 minutes of racing.
Our leaders made the U-turn at the bottom of the course, now coming back up the hill directly across from us. A big group of riders as we look to identify who's leading the charge at the front for the moment. That looked like Alfredo Rodriguez riding for that City Bike team out of Miami. Alfredo, no stranger to success in many of these events. Spent a lot of time on podiums in the 2024 season. We'll see if our men ride to the same style that our women did, a little conservative in the opening laps before things really started to take shape. Roughly 80 riders or so taking the start here with us this afternoon, or this evening, I guess, technically. Team Skyline in the mix. Robin Carpenter, you can see clever with the GoPro on the helmet.
Yeah, just in front of him, Lucas Burgoyne. He's a winner of our first 2 USA Crit races, so he's a good sprinter. It'll be interesting to see how he does on a course like this, because this is a very challenging course with a lot of uphills. This is a good Robin Carpenter course. Got to be able to pay attention to that. Last year, as these riders are getting in, we're going to be ringing the bell, but Cole Davis won this race last year. Brendan Rim, those are two like all-arounder power riders. That was the winner in 24 and in 2023. And so right now, as the riders spread out across the road, kind of sussing things out, as we're going to be ringing the bell for a preem. $250 preem, bell lap, bell. $250 preem, $250 preem, $250 preem.
Going up the right side there, the national champion of the Caribbean country of Belize, Corey Williams, making a little move. I think he knew that bell was coming, and Corey likes to grab himself a little cold hard cash. We'll see if he makes a big dig to pocket $250 in that opening preem lap. You can see Corey getting on the gas after that U-turn, so he's clearly got dollar signs in the eyes. We're going to see him come into sight here just a moment behind our lead motorcycle. Oh, two riders with a little bit of a gap right now. Looks like maybe, is that Will Hardin on the front leading the chase right now from the field?
Nice move by Corey Williams, one of the fastest sprinters in the U.S. on the front end. That's going to be one of the bikers riders right behind him. Thinking that might be Juan Arango as I'm trying to be able to confirm that. Oh, that's Castaneda. So Jaime Castaneda following the move. And, of course, a lot of these guys are going to have specific jobs at certain portions of this race course, dividing up that workload. Some riders taking charge of watching the first part of the race, other riders sitting in and resting for the second part of the race. And you can only do that if you have multiple team members. Carpenter now again back to the front.
Robin going to lead him through that little left-hander and into the beginning slopes, that little climb out of the turn. Looks like one of our riders already had enough of the race there. Christian Perpinan from Kingdom Elite says, not my day. I'm going to pull out of the course. We now look at our riders starting to make their way to the base of the climb that's going to bring them into view here of the line.
on the front right there, a German rider that used to be ride with, it was Jumbo-Visma Devo team, then moved over and was on the Alpecin team, the World Tour team in Alpecin. He's ridden the Vuelta a España twice, and now look at him. Big, oh my God, he's starting from way down at the bottom of the hill. I don't know what he's thinking. Long hill as he's putting in the attack, and he's got the gap. Going for $250, and he's going to put it in his pocket. Job well done on lap number 2.
Well, that makes it nice and easy for our officials, grabbing some cold, hard cash there. Maurice Ballerstedt. It looks like he's going to sit up. He's looking over his left-hand shoulder. Did just enough work to pocket a little bit of cash. Now he's going to wait for the rest of the group, but that certainly did the job of lining things out here very early on in our 60-minute races. He's still got just a little bit of daylight on his rear wheel there as he makes that U-turn at the bottom. You can tell he's not looking to make this effort go anywhere. He's going to take a little drink there and recover, get back in, and figure out what his next move is. Who knows? Maybe he'll be our preem hunter here today.
Yeah, Maurice Ballerstedt just recently moving to Seattle, Washington. Ridden the Vuelta a couple times, has ridden at the Tour of Flanders last couple years with the World Tour team Alpecin, and now decided to be able to come out and check out some Criterium racing. He's also been doing some gravel as well, and you can see he's starting to be strung out a little bit as riders starting to feel the effects. That 180 is pretty tricky because if you're in the back, you're going to stay in the back, and the riders coming out, they can start accelerating so much sooner than you because you're still de-accelerating and using your brakes going into the corner. And that's what causes that whiplash effect. And if you stay back there, I don't know, maybe you can last like 5 laps. I feel you're going to run out of watts pretty soon.
Yeah, even the strongest riders have only so many matches, and they're not going to be able to survive back there. So if you're not one of the strongest riders, it is certainly not the place you want to be. Right now, we're looking at the Visit Pittsburgh rider, Dan Uranowski from out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the former multi-time Pennsylvania State Criterium champion. Kind of burst onto the scene in the last 3 or 4 years and seen him get some pretty good results at some high-level criteriums. I would not label him as a favorite for sure in one of these races, but he's a rider that could sneak in a pretty good result at the end of the day. He's got himself pretty well positioned at the front of the group right now.
Now looking at that SCAD jersey, that could be Sam Mayer. Not really sure right now. No, excuse me, that's Bikers on the... I'm sorry, that's Bill. Bill was just talking about that rider, that good Criterium rider from Visit Pittsburgh. And this is the hard uphill. It doesn't look that steep, but it's probably about at least a 10% grade, maybe even a little bit more, kicking up towards our start line. But look at them. Spread out across the road, a little bit of tactics and strategy. Again, they're racing for 60 minutes, and we've just started as we're only 7 minutes in.
Yeah, it's a long way to go, and all these riders are experienced. They recognize that. They recognize the difficulty of this course, and they know that it's going to be selective enough the later it gets, so there's probably no real need to get on the gas this early in the race, so everyone kind of settling in, taking their time, and letting the laps kind of take their toll organically on some of the group before they really need to get down to the business of racing pretty hard. You can already see some riders coming off the back end of that group. There goes Will Hardin, last night's aggressor and second place finisher, putting in a, I would go ahead and call that a career ride last evening rather, for Will Hardin. Been riding very, very well this year, and I've spoken to a number of folks who are fans of his from the Asheville and Winston-Salem, North Carolina area, and they've all commented how he's really leveled up this year in his riding, and it looks like, I believe, that might be that Robin Carpenter, I believe, maybe trying to get up on the wheel, trying to get the number there. Of course, that could be a dangerous move. Carpenter and the rest of Legion missing that breakaway last night, and not sure why they missed it. I talked to Robin a little bit after the race, and they were like, yeah, we simply misjudged that maneuver last night. Nothing else to say. They tried the best they could to get back on terms and get another group up the road, but it wasn't to be. And Will Harden and Clever Martinez ended up being the only 2 riders to lap the group last night. So I think Legion trying to be maybe a little more on the offensive here today, and riders like Carpenter certainly probably liking this course a little bit more than last night in Athens.
I fancy Ty is, everybody thinks he's a sprinter, but I think he's a roller. He loves punchy little, like at Tour of Utah, he really excelled at the stuff that was not super climbing, not pancake flat, but had some punch to it.
Yeah, the climbs like this, when you talk about a sprinter, you want to assume they're only good at flat, fast 200 meters, but sprinters can go hard for 20 or 30 seconds.
All right, you guys, point sprint on the next lap. Point sprint on the next lap. 10, 7, 3, 5, 2.
The Legion on the front right now. Didn't get a chance to see that number, but could have been the youngster Bueno on the front leading the charge. I imagine he's going to be doing a little bit of the domestique work early here in the race.
I was taking my government-mandated break. Who did you guys peg as a favorite yet? Did you guys yet? You and Francisco?
We talked a little bit about that, and I think the general consensus is it's a great race for Robin Carpenter.
Okay,
yeah. I mean, just Frankie was talking about some of the prior winners like Cole Davis and Brendan Rim, and Brendan and Robin are really very similar riders. So it kind of it really fits that Robin could go well on this course, I think.
I think somebody respectfully disagreed, and that was Lucas Burgoyne. When we said that, came across the line and just smiling at us like, you guys are suckers. What about Brian Gomez?
Well, there's about 80 other riders that are welcome to prove us wrong out there tonight.
Yep. Hey, look.
Yeah, Danny Summerhill, right? Another rider who could potentially rise up to the occasion on a course like this. He's a former silver medalist at the Junior World Cyclocross Championships many, many moons ago. And, of course, cyclocross course is very, very punchy in nature. So this course kind of fits the mold of a cyclocross course to some degree. It would be kind of fun to see Danny get in the mix out there. Lucas Burgoyne right now up near the front end of the mix, along with some of our riders from Kingdom Elite. I believe that might be Gomez up in the mix. Will Harden also in that mix. We saw the GoPro on top of the Foundation rider, the Venezuelan, and last night's Athens at Twilight champion Clever Martinez also near the front end of that mix. Here comes the first big move coming up the hill. That looks like it's going to be the California King, Luke Fetzer, making his bid for the points. Remember, this is a point sprint lap. 10, 7, 5, 3, 2 on the line as they come into sight. And I believe that it's going to be the Skyline rider. Oh, it looks like he might get pipped there on the line by the Alpecian rider coming across the line. So that's going to be rider number 74 sliding in there. That's actually DCC squad. Andreas Mayer going to grab top points on that one. So Mayer, Fetzer, Carpenter, Alexander Skapinich-Bergel, a young man riding for Kelly Benefits out of New England, his first year in the elites, and Pablo Cruz slipping in there as well. And, you know, Skapinich-Bergel, I was actually texting during the race last night with his coach, Adam Meyerson, about what a ride that was for Alexander as a first-year elite to finish in the middle of the group last night. So it was a very promising ride for that young man out of New England.
I'm sure that Adam was a bit giddy about that. You know, it's kind of like talking to Adam and talking to Saba and all those guys. When you ask them, it's like whether you're a coach or whether you're a team director, when your riders get a win, you almost most of the time get more satisfaction from that than you did from some of your bigger wins.
So as predicted, Robin Carpenter from the Legion of Los Angeles on the move right now on the front, stretching things out just a little bit. All it took was that first point sprint to stretch things out just a little bit, and Carpenter countering that sprint and now getting into a bit of a tuck here and dragging a couple riders clear. Not sure who that is in second wheel, but I believe
Fetzer,
that might be
or maybe it's
Fetzer.
No, that actually looks like Erlach, the Croatian. Looks like Richie.
It could be Richard Molek, one of the other riders, that we called up in our call-ups here to start the race. That could be Molek up there in that move. Yeah, I believe you're right. That is Molek now in second wheel. Clever Martinez sitting in third position right now.
His flowy hair is not quite as blonde as Luke, so that's kind of how we can pick him out.
Yeah, we used to refer to Clever as the rider with the best hair in the peloton.
He's Troy Palomano. I mean, it's like.
That actually is the Kelly Benefits rider, Alexander Skapinich-Bergel, who was up there in the front, who we weren't quite sure of, couldn't really get a look at the kit in its entirety. But yeah, absolutely, that's Alexander having a great ride. And you know, we just talked about Summerhill and his cyclocross background and how this punchy course suits that. Alexander's actually a really good cyclocross rider, so he may be well in his element out here today in the front end of that split.
Yeah, Danny Summerhill it's a wonderful story behind Danny, but more importantly, Danny is like a five-tool bike racer. I remember, Bill, in your backyard at the Universe Grand Prix when the remnants of a hurricane came through, and he and Tom Skujins got away, and the climb of the descent off the top, he had no fear whatsoever, and it was an absolute deluge. Matter of fact, the airport was closed. I had to ride back with mountain khakis back to North Carolina. But he absolutely, with no remorse, bombed down that descent, and Tom's afterwards looked at me and he said, nope, I was not going to take those risks.
Will Hardin back on the move now. He knows the pace is strung out. Riders already starting to get tired, so strike while the iron is hot is the move right now by Hardin. So Hardin with a little bit of real estate there, a little bit of daylight off his back wheel. We'll see what comes of this. Last night, he was able to slip up the road with Martinez. A lot of the other teams making a mistake and letting him go, and I don't think any team is going to make that mistake again tonight.
So what's taking place right now is the hardest part of the race course because they're trying to be able to establish the breakaway. So everybody's going flat out, and that's why so many riders are coming off the back. So the next 2 or 3 laps, they're going to continue to push the pace. Gaps are going to continue to open up. Then things will settle down. Once the breakaway is established, you're going to have a main field that's going to slow down, and all the riders that are dropped are going to have a chance to catch back up, and then you're going to have a pretty good-sized group. But until the breakaway gets away, it is going to be anaerobic. They're going to be attacking each other nonstop. That's what's taking place right now until that fatigue sets in and we actually get a break. So very hard bike racing going on, and the longer this lasts, obviously the harder the race is going to be, and more riders will not finish until the break. If the break doesn't go away relatively soon, you're not going to have many finishers.
Well, Team Cadence after last night has decided they're going to take a little bit of the jugular here.
Team Cadence, another one of those new teams on the circuit this year, and they've gotten some talent from many different sources, and they quickly showing that they're one of the best new teams of the 2025 season. Burgoyne and Fetzer both picking up some very big wins this year, showing us that they've got more than one tool in the tool shed to use out there. Here comes an attack coming up the left-hand side of the road right now. That looked like it was going to be Gabriel Payne, one of our young riders from the SCAD Atlanta squad.
So one thing to keep in mind with those green jerseys is that Luke Fetzer is sitting second in the overall standings, and so they're going to try to ride for him. Will Hardin is kind of by himself, so they're going to try to be able to keep Luke Fetzer because if Fetzer has a good sprint. So if Fetzer can get up there and have a good ride today, he has the possibility of taking the overall standings. So that's a little bit of why, like, for example, the sprinter Lucas Burgoyne, not sure how this course is going to be for him, but he's going to sacrifice himself, I believe, to try to make sure Luke Fetzer has a good chance at getting maximum points.
I know turn number 4 at Athens would be really happy about that.
Here comes our SCAD rider with a little bit of real estate. Everyone content right now to let him go. Maybe not a figure in the overall scheme of things right now. So that young man getting a little bit of freedom. Gabriel Payne making the most out of that right now as he leads into the second half of the course. The rest of the field sitting up just a little bit. You can tell everyone kind of shoulder to shoulder across the road.
And that's what I was talking about, that breakaway. Even though it's only one guy, the main field is slowed down Big opportunity for everybody in the back now to be able to catch up. So you're going to see the group start to swell until we're going to have the second round of attacks when, no offense to Gabriel Payne, but until the big dogs decide to be able to come out swinging to try to rip this race apart.
And that's what we thought last night.
Well, this could be a great move for Payne because get up the road solo, use a little bit of energy, and let the fireworks happen between the big teams behind you. And if luck goes his way, Payne could find himself in a pretty good group here in the next few moments as everyone kind of looks at each other and figures out the next move.
Oh.
So Gabriel Payne with a big gap. We're looking down the road. Can't really see anybody behind him just yet, but I'll tell you what, you can see the look on Payne's face. He is settled into a very comfortable rhythm right now. It's a little bit of rocking going on. It looks like the jerseys of Legion behind leading the charge right now.
All right, so Payne is coming up for SCAD. Climbing up that hill at 13%, and here comes the Arsenal right behind him. A little bit of firework action right now as they head up. Yeah. Geez, the kid is riding like a rock star. Identified by Bill. Coming from the northeast.
Marcos Mendez, Danny Summerhill, Tyler Williams, Olivier Leroy, Brian Gomez, Juan Arango, Alfredo Rodriguez, and Preston I all rolling through in that top 10 that time.
Good to see Preston up there. Then commentating his junior ranks and up to the teen ranks and then up to the senior circuit.
I'll tell you, last night, Marcos Mendez, besides our two riders that lapped the field, he might have been the third hardest working man in that field because once they lapped, he had the job of shepherding Clever Martinez around for the rest of the race, and we saw him finally kind of pull the parachute with about 2 to go. Big smile on his face. He knew he did everything he could to put Clever into the best possible position to win that race. So Marcos Mendez, another great addition to that Foundation Elite cycling team out of New York City. Oh, looks like we've got a little bit of a split going on maybe at the front, about 8-9 riders with just about a 3-second gap. So nothing really to speak of, but could be telling of what's to come here in the next few laps. Several Foundation riders in that mix. Looks like Team Flicker represented at the front. Preston I, we believe that rider is. Richard Holek from the Cadence squad going around the outside, taking a lead into that little uphill rise.
One thing to watch out for is a little bit further back is that Alec Cowan is riding, I believe, right next to either Danny Summerhill or Ty Magner, kind of like just escorting him around, making sure that they close any kind of gaps. Carpenter is controlling the front and watching any kind of breakaway, but so Legion obviously with a little bit of a tactical plan, and they're right on the screen. That's Cowan going by with one of his teammates. They're managed to be able to stay in front of any of the gaps that are opening up behind them. And again, very, very seesawy, and I mean that because it gets strung out and then it groups back together. So a lot of back and forth taking place right now as your winner from Athens Twilight Criterium sitting second wheel following Robin Carpenter up the climb.
Yeah, and thankfully Clever makes it easy for us because he's always got that Rudolph look with that GoPro or whatever camera he's got that's blinking red. If there was a counterattack right now, it might be pretty nasty.
A lot of little digs on the front, but nobody willing to have a whole lot of follow-through right now. So it's a little bit of a yo-yo pace, but you can still see the damage being done farther back in the group, 30, 40 back. You're starting to see a lot of splits, and I think that was Cowan maybe coming right off the back of that pace. So it looks like his day may be done. Partially, you can sense that doesn't have a whole lot of urgency in his pedaling right now.
One thing you can't hear on the web stream is that all the yelling of the riders when they're coming by, and they're all screaming for somebody else to do the work. They're like yelling like, hey, get up there, go up there. They're all yelling for somebody else to close the gap because the gaps are all opening in front of them. So it's kind of funny because it's not like once or twice. It's every group
lap.
that's off the back. They come through here and they're all yelling, and it's the guys that are yelling are the ones that are like fifth back trying to get somebody else to do the work to close the gap.
All right, Luke deciding he's going to strike out again, the youngster out of California. Team Cadence is ripe for a win today. I personally think Lucas Burgoyne actually might do okay in this race.
Yeah, it'll be kind of interesting to see Lucas, one of the faster sprinters on the circuit the last couple of years. He spent a season or two in France doing a lot of the major UCI road races over there and honed that fitness, and now been back in the U.S. for a couple of years. I think a lot of people had forgotten kind of his pedigree when he came back here to the U.S., and he was winning some great races right off the bat.
Kind of like Garrison, coming back, racing in the over in Europe, and then coming back and decided to give him the, as Frankie called it, the cash circuit.
Yeah, Garrison, a lot of people forget he's a former under-23 national time trial champion. A very good rider, and he's used those skills many times over the last couple of years to drive himself to victory.
Big move last night with Will Harden getting into the breakaway. He pretty much drove it at the Athens Twilight Criterium for them to lap the field. It happened in the first 25 laps, something you don't see very often. And Will Harden, 27 years old, you know, he's a professor in biology. He's a teacher at a university, and that's his daytime job, and his side gig is racing bikes, and he's darn good at it, because right now he's your current overall leader in Speed Week. Guess you could call him the professor of Speed Week.
Hey now.
He's got his doctorate.
The Legion of Los Angeles back on the point. Alfredo Bueno leading the charge right there, looking like he's trying to get a little bit of a split going. And again, I suspect that might be a little bit of a setup move for Robin Carpenter. We saw Carpenter making some moves earlier. Tyler Williams, Wanarango also up in that front end of the mix. And you can see the splits, about 7 riders, followed by 4, then the rest of the group right now.
Yeah, Will Harden finds himself in the 3rd group, and Alfredo Bueno, the young 20-year-old coming from the Avolo cycling team, just recently joining Legion this year for the very first time.
I wonder what percentage of the field is Latino. I mean, there is a ton. It's got to be half.
The riders all looking around again. A lot of riders willing to attack and make an effort for 300, 400, 500 meters, but nobody really having a ton of follow-throughs. We see our SCAD rider now trying to close that gap. He's got Carpenter along with a couple of foundation riders on the wheel. So interesting to see those riders on the back foot right now with 13 to go.
One of the worst feelings in the world is the rider in front of you is getting gapped up. You have just enough to go by him, but maybe not enough to get across to that little tiny split. So that decision right there could cost you the race or not. So you got to hope and pray that that rider in front of you doesn't pull back a little bit, because that's how those splits happen. You don't have enough energy to really jump across, but you have just enough to pass the rider that's blowing up in front of you. It's a tricky game on how you go about it.
Yeah, that lends itself to the cerebral portion of bike racing. A lot of times folks forget about that component. Think it's all physical and it's all watts. So there's a lot more involved in being at that very top level of bike racing right here, as we see yet another Legion ride and driving the train. Will Harden in that leader's jersey on the front of the field doing a whole lot of work.
Yeah, Danny with those 34-centimeter handlebars.
Yeah, they seem to get narrower and narrower. So much for the 44-centimeter bars of years gone by.
Sometimes it's not pretty, but boy, is it highly effective.
Oh, Danny Summerhill coming into sight, just about to cross the finish line. He's another one of those riders we suspected might be a big player, but he's looking back. He's taking a drink. You can tell he's waiting for the rest of the group. So Danny not too keen to continue the effort right now. Foundation also at the front looking back. Robin Carpenter also making a connection to that front group. Everyone continuing to look around as we are just a little under 1 minute shy of the halfway point of our 60-minute race here for our professional men, the 3rd edition of the Curiosity Lab at Peachtree Corners Criterium. The young man out of New England, Alexander Skopinich-Bergel, looking very strong up there once again in the mix. Looks like he's going to go second position through that turn as we are going to be coming up on another bell lap as we are about the halfway point of our 60-minute race. So we're going to throw another wrench into the plan here for these riders.
I think and something I don't know if we have discussed earlier, but, I know how hard it is to be first into the turns, but these turns are so hard because they got a punchy little climb after them. You get to pick your line, and you don't really have to hit the brakes much. So trying to be near the front is one thing, but taking the turn first, that is a whole different other animal. And it actually, even though it's harder to be in front sometimes, it benefits. And here comes a counterattack. Somebody is just lighting the match. And it's Bueno, I think, just giving it a rip. Powerhouse little climber. $250 for the winner. Mid-race sprint. 10-7, 5-3, and 2. 10-7, 5-3, and 2. And there has been a Brian Gomez sighting. There goes Gomez. Last year, man, this course was like tailor-made for him.
We've got nice little selection making their way off the front of the group right now. 4 riders, one more just about to link up onto the back. The rest of the field, they're going to have to close that down right now. Things sure to heat up for that point sprint. Again, 5 deep, 10-7, 5-3, and 2, along with $250 cash on the line as they make their way back toward us. And we can see who's driving the train right now. Head down, elbows out. That is a dead giveaway that they are on the gas right now.
No. I think Tyler Williams has jumped on the back of that. And Gomez is, for Kingdom Elite, is burying himself. And now Burgoyne, the bells are going off for Will Hardin, too. Luke Fetzer also in panic mode.
Yeah, Juan Arango, the rider that was driving the train right there of 4. So we'll see if they continue to stay away. Looks like Kingdom Elite trying to bridge the gap. Then we've got Burgoyne, Hardin, and the rest of the group. So absolutely alarm bells starting to go off in the group right now.
All right, Brian has made it across. And Marcos Mendez has made it. So it's almost, we went back to that original conversation about the Latinos. I think that entire break consists of Latin American or Mexican riders.
And Marcos Mendez kind of burst on the scene last year riding for a local bike shop squad out of northern New Jersey. And nobody really knew who he was, but he just won race after race after race in so many different fashions. Field sprints, breakaways, you name it, he was able to win races. And he's been an absolute anchor for that rebuilt foundation squad this year.
Seems like everybody's keen to Will Hardin right now because Burgoyne and Fetzer were straight on him when he punched through. Yeah. All right, here comes your sprint points right now. They sat up, and here comes the counter, maybe from Robin Carpenter. All right, so it's going to go Hollick, then Carpenter. Luke Fetzer. Up. And again, we talked about it. Fetzer, Carpenter, Brown, Leroy, and Ty Magner. Boy, if you wanted to pick riders that could win this race, there you go.
Yeah, sorry, real quick. Olivia Leroy is on that DCC team along with Andreas Mayer. They usually come over right before Armed Forces, so they came over a little bit earlier. I don't know how long they're sticking around, but it's a very good German team. And normally it's a bunch of 6-day riders, a bunch of track specialists. And so now they're, I don't know. I would not want to get off the plane being a track specialist and come to this course, but they're talented, they're fit, and they're doing a good job right now as it looks like they continue to be able to push the pace.
Well, you've got Carpenter, then Brown. Roy, Fetzer. And everything else is in shambles.
Look like Kyle Tesler from the Butcher Box squad trying to get a little representation there in the front. We've not talked a whole lot about Butcher Box yet today, so good to see Kyle representing them, trying to get up into that elite group.
With this, we just missed it. This shot, like sitting in the back, Thomas Gibbons is still in here. We're looking very, very comfortable. And he's just tail gunning. The difference is he's tail gunning on purpose. He's risking it all that a breakaway is not going to be able to stay away, and then it's going to come down to a sprint. So he's trying to be able to stay as fresh as possible right now. This is a little bit dangerous, though, proposition, because right now we have 8 riders with about a 4-second gap, and there's enough riders up there where who's going to chase? There's no teams left. And what I just noticed is Will Harden missed the split. So definitely get on his wheel for him to try to be able to get up here, because that is Holick that has made it up there. So Fetzer, who's second overall, and Harden. Fetzer, who is second overall, and Harden, who is first overall. Both of them have not made it into the break.
And it looks like Holick actually has made his way to try to slow down the chase. So it looks like the teams are represented. Now it's coming down to the riders on those teams that have riders in the breakaway to shut this thing down. And I think this is a dangerous move with Jim Brown up and down the... No, actually, that wasn't Jim Brown.
Clever Martinez now leading the chase. It looked like Burgoyne also making that 4-rider chase. But these riders in the front all looking relatively organized. They're coming into sight. Butcher Box on the front. Carpenter coming on through. Everyone kind of looking at each other. So maybe actually not so organized as 4 riders making the connection, including Ty Magner, who's been on the podium here a couple of years ago.
Yeah, 2023, Ty Magner, second place on this course as they're seeing 9 laps to go. 9 laps to go, riders. 9 laps to go.
I have a sneaky suspicion that might be your group right there with Preston High. Good for the kid jumping onto the back for Flicker. And I think on this course, that number actually suits it. I would normally argue against that, maybe too many riders, but this thing is so challenging that I think that group actually will work together, because if you don't work, you get popped.
Well, at this point, coming up this backstretch, you got to have your leaders. Will Harden, who's wearing your current overall Jackaroo Leaders jersey, he needs to try to go across sooner than later, meaning like pretty much right now. I don't know why. Sitting back there, he's looking over his shoulder, looking for a little bit of help, but there's too many teams up here where everybody else is going to sit on. Everybody's got a teammate in the front. Nobody's going to want to do the work. So if you're going across the gap, now's the time to go across the gap.
Where does he get it?
Well,
Connor Mulvey doing an excellent ride right there as well.
Yeah, as if on cue, Harden looked like he was going to make a little bit of move going up the curb side there directly across from us. He sees the danger. He knows every single team is represented, so who else is left to chase but Will Harden himself, I think.
I mean, how many bullets does the kid have left? He spent them all, you would think, last night. Quote-unquote, Chad, I'm tired today, unquote. Well, clearly not.
Yeah, no doubt. But he needs to just drill it. He doesn't have to worry about getting help from anybody else. He's pretty much out here by himself. Just ride on the front and bring it back, and then have a reshuffling of the deck, and then worry about what you want to do next. But you can't let that many points go up the road. That's the problem with 8 guys going up the road. You're going to end up scoring barely anything, and you can't take that risk. So drill it for yourself, and then take your chances a little bit later on.
Well, I know for a fact that Legion wants this to work. Now, the question is, can Will Harden offset it? And where are the riders from the other teams? Well, Roy is just ripping it, followed by Jim Brown, followed by Luke Fetzer.
That DCC rider, Oliver Leroy, looking over his shoulder, trying to be able to get some other riders to be able to come by as well.
Fetzer goes again. Sorry, Bill.
Sorry about that. Looks like Fetzer not liking the composition of this group here. He knows it's too many riders. Some riders looking for a free ride. He knows the chasers are still active behind, so he's trying to split things up just a little bit as he's got Magner and Brown in tow with him right now. And there goes Lucas Burgoyne.
Leaders, free laps are over. Free laps are over. 8 laps to go. Wait, free laps are over at 4 laps to go. My bad. 4 laps to go. Free laps are over.
That's it. That's your group right there. I saw a lot of sitting up. As a matter of fact, that group up the road is going to split up as well. You have Fetzer, Burgoyne, Magner, Tiesler, Carpenter, Leroy, Brown, Arango, and Martinez.
Our chase still actually relatively active, and I'll tell you, that's the rider we were just talking about a few minutes ago, who we were trying to identify there.
Ben Colby.
Yeah, Frankie had pointed out he had made all the splits earlier, just missed this one, but he's got himself in the queue to help try and bring this back, and that field still well within reach right now.
And Clever Martinez has jumped on the back. I think that's the move. I just don't think there's enough left. Everybody's looking around and knackered.
This course definitely taking its toll on all these riders. We're only 40 minutes in, 2/3 of the way through, and a lot of long faces out there. And I don't think there's a single rider who would complain that it's only a 1 hour race tonight.
Well, Gomez paid for that Trident Bridge right there. Wow. Brian is probably working his way back into form because you would have never normally ever see that from Brian.
Ty Magner rolling through, looking pretty comfortable. The Bikers cycling team, that's that team. It's Puerto Rican registered, but it's mainly all Colombians on there. Clever Martinez with that camera on the head, and then you have our main field. Not losing any ground, but not gaining any ground. So it's teetering right now because I don't know how much longer the guys in the main field are going to continue to ride on the front to be able to bring him back as Kyle Tiesler comes around in the back of that group with Preston Eye on him. Robin Carpenter with a glance over the shoulder. Surprised Robin's actually not riding harder to maybe to keep the group away for Ty Magner, or Ty Magner riding harder to keep the group away for his teammate Robin Carpenter. They're the only guys with 2 riders, I believe 2 teammates in the front group, but I think, like you said, Chad mentions it all the time, too many riders in the front, and they're all looking at each other to do the work.
Yep, I would expect you to see Bourgogne or maybe Fetzer go because 2 from Team Cadence. That's a sloppy mess right there, you see. Normally you'd think it, yep, now we're all back together again. So Chad was dreadfully wrong in that assessment.
Yeah, that looked like such a promising move a lap ago, but everything back together. Lucas Burgoyne rolling on through. Yeah, we know you're paying attention, Lucas. That's what we're making sure. We're just talking to make sure you know what's going on up there.
So it was Burgoyne and Carpenter right there. And you're right, Frankie. It looked like Ty was drifting off the back just a little bit.
So everything all back together right now as we're into the final third of the race. Just about 43 minutes done, 7 to go is what they saw on the lap board. We're now seeing, once again, our motor coming at us on the opposite side of the road. And who's going to be the next one to throw it down? It looks like Titzer from the Butcher Box team still at the front. Good to see those riders throwing it down.
Jim Brown, downtown. No, actually,
I think that's Fergus Arthur. He had a Chad, you mentioned it. Didn't he have a bad crash yesterday?
Yep.
Got all scraped up at the Athens Twilight Criterium, and Fergus Arthur patching himself up, and now coming out here. He's a breakaway artist as well. And Kyle Tiesler is a breakaway artist, so those are 2 strong guys that are matching up, but there's a lot of guys sitting. And there are some guys, like Thomas Gibbons is sitting in. He's been soft pedaling it if you can, but looking very, very comfortable sitting in the main group. Again, waiting to see who might be able to go away. Legion, obviously paying attention. DCC, got to give them a lot of credit. They've been all over the moves as well, especially now. Don't want to make a silly mistake coming in with 5 laps to go. You have to pay attention.
I think one of the things about this race course is that not only are they attacking on the uphill sections, but unlike amateur racing where they're attacking or excelling on the uphills, these guys are actually also attacking on the downhills. And that makes it just brutally hard because you hope to recover on the downhills, but no, you can't. Then you have a downhill where you're accelerating to catch back on, breaking into the turn, and then trying to catch back up. Brutal race course.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things you look at when you do your course recon, not just the places to attack, but the places to recover. And depending on what your skill set happens to be, some of those things might be vastly different. As we see a big attack on the hill. I believe that's going to be Juan Arango right now, taking a quick look over his shoulder. He doesn't like that this has come back together, so he's going to make a big, big move to try and create a fresh new selection.
If you look at his pedaling style, he still has a high cadence. His shoulders are dropped. All right, attention riders. Point sprint, points sprint, point sprint on the next lap. Point sprint, 10, 7, 5, 3, and 2.
Well, things starting to split up thanks to Arango. Tyler Williams up in that mix as well, trying to get something going on. We saw Tyler doing a lot of chasing late last night when there wasn't really a whole lot of hope to get back on terms with the 2 leaders, with It was probably about 15 or 10 laps ago. So trying to make up for that out here today.
You know what? I'm a bit sinister, but what about a backside preem too? Oh, God, that would be so rough. Okay, scratch that from the agenda. But that would, some races do backside sprints like at Toad, and man, they are so hard. Rango's just on fire. It's like Tyra Williams now trying to go across.
That's actually Juan Pablo Zapata.
Oh, Zapata. So
Yeah.
the counter from Zapata. Thank you for catching that.
So maybe that, I would suspect maybe that's a setup move for Arango. Zapata stringing things out a little bit. Obviously, we're coming into our third sprint of the night. 5 spots available, 10, 7, 5, 3, and 2. So we'll see if this sparks another counterattack maybe.
One thing to watch out for, especially now we're getting down to that final sprint, is the wind, and it's been a tailwind on the backside. So coming up here, it's been a headwind. So when they're going to come up that hill, they are going to face a little bit of a headwind crosswind, and that's going to be a little bit more challenging. You do not want to lead out, obviously, from the bottom of the hill. Going to have to be near the top, but very easily, whoever comes over the top of that hill in first can definitely get past before the line.
Oh, DCC both on the front right now. Danny Summerhill looking around, making sure he's got Carpenter and Magner. We've got, looks like one of our foundation rider, Will Harden, has now moved himself back up. We were just commenting that Will was dangling maybe a little too far back, but he's now moved into a pretty good position just ahead of the Cadence squad.
Yeah, Bikers has been really active today. I like to see the style of racing that they have, and they look super fresh as Danny Summerhill has climbed in. So Bikers right now in those very fashionable, slick-looking kits that they've got.
Points on the line. Points 5 places deep. 10, 7, 5, 3, and 2.
Well, Harding gets 10, followed by Hollick. Third place looks like it went to Arango. Yep, and Summerhill, and then Fergus Arthur sighting for Foundation.
So that sprint serving to split things up just a little bit as the riders saw 5 laps to go. So Holick leading Harden through that U-turn as they make their way back up the hill again.
Just to give an idea, sorry, you talked a little bit earlier about how strong Marcos Mendez is as a rider. He had to do a lot of chasing, right? He's off the back right now, drop. You do big efforts on this course, you pay the price. It's amazing that Will Harden, with all that he's done, has been able to recover and stay in there. Same with Robin Carpenter. That's the caliber of riders these guys are. Same with the Bikers team, with Arango and Zapata. The Colombians all over the front of this race. But right now, there are other riders in a world of trouble, and they are starting to get dropped coming around with 4 laps to go.
Arango just looks super fresh.
Yeah, I think that's the reason early in the race we saw, we talked about all these riders attacking for 300, 400, 500 meters and then sitting up and looking around and nobody taking the reins. I think everybody realizes that this course offers so little recovery that if you go just that little bit too deep, your day is going to be over before it really should be. So everyone being very cautious with their efforts right now. Fetzer once again back on the front. So the young man, the California King, 19 years young, former junior national criterium champion, with a big win in Greenville on Thursday. His first ever pro win at Greenville under the lights on Thursday just gave him a huge boost of confidence, and you can see that really coming out here tonight.
Legion actually still has 3 riders, and they got the workhorse and Danny Summerhill. You've also got Team Cadence. They got look there, right? You see Lucas Burgoyne and Fetcher sharing a little beverage.
So things have eased off just a little bit here. We thought Arango was throwing down a big attack set up by his teammate. Now it's going to be the Robin Carpenter move here coming up the side of the fencing. Butcher box in tow.
Everybody's starting to look a little ugly. Their pedal stroke has changed. Their body position has changed. Carpenter. Skapinic Burgle, as Phil Elliston is coined. and Opine Don, very Tiesler, Skapinik, Burgle, Arango, Burgoyne, Martinez. Clever has just been kind of hanging around.
Clever's riding really well this year. You know, he's last year, of course, he had a great year as well, but it was really 2 or 3 years ago that he was just very dominant on a lot of podiums. But this year, to see him pick up such a big win last night and then ride as well as he is on this course here today, it seems like Clever's really kind of coming on to a very good season so far.
He's a 3-time track national champion out of Venezuela, and also this winter did a lot of track racing up in Detroit on the indoor velodrome at the Lexus Velodrome. He participated in a bunch of cycling events up there. So he's a track specialist, but he found some really good form. And 5 riders now trying to be able to break away. Nice job by number 11 from Team Flicker going across that gap. We're thinking that is Scarano. We had an introduction for him. He started on the front row, but he's been quiet. He's been secretly sitting in, and now he comes up to the front.
I think he was in top 5 last year, if I remember correctly, because I was thinking Scarano several times. So I think Andy Scarano actually was in the top 5 last year, almost got himself the win.
A Carpenter in a low tuck as he makes his way down, trying to drag a group of about 7 or so, 6 or 7 riders clear here in the closing bit of our race. They saw 4 laps to go, so we are getting down to the business end of this bike race. Just about 52 minutes on the clock. 60 minutes is what we're aiming for total race time here tonight. I tell you again, riders still, the commitment level is kind of short-lived as we get later in the race again. Riders taking some big digs. Carpenter, you saw, just taking a look back over his shoulder, and he's going to see another 25 or so riders on the back wheel there. So I got to say, Chad, I'm a little surprised this many riders are still in the mix this deep into the race on this challenging course that we've got here at Peachtree Corners.
And it's not like it's been a sleigh ride. You know, they're not on a Sunday coffee ride. They've been attacking. That's an astute observation there, Mr. Ellison. I would have thought this thing would have been shredded and dead by now, but nope. So that makes it even more enticing with counterattacks and attacks. You've got sprinters, you've got breakaway riders, you've got the full gambit and full mix here.
3 laps to go right now. 3 laps to go as they roll through. Tim Rugg representing the Automatic Racing Squad coming through up the left-hand side. Again, Automatic, we've not talked a whole lot about them other than Tom Gibbons, a former Athens Twilight winner, been kind of sitting at the back, floating wheels, doing as little as he can here. I can't imagine that this big group is still going to survive to the line together. Somebody's going to have to throw caution to the wind. I mean, we've got probably 30 riders in that group, and not all 30 are very proficient field sprinters. So somebody's got to make a big move here as we get down to the wire.
Do you think maybe because yesterday was a hard race, but it wasn't your typical 3 or 4 breakaways at a time or whatever. It was 2 and then the group. And it seemed like the group was caught unaware with Andy Scarano on the front from Flicker, the Athens-based team. Could that play into the situation where, yes, trust me, I'm not going to say that yesterday's race was hard, but talking to some of the riders, they were like, it was hard because it was fast, but it wasn't necessarily hard.
Yeah, I talked to Robin for quite a bit after the finish last night, and he said it was an odd edition of the race, certainly with the way it played out. I think we could all agree to that. But he said it was absolutely a really hard race, and he said that in the context of being kind of surprised that it was only those 2 riders that lapped up and nothing else really broke up in that race. A lot of riders now on the outside of the fence, having done their duty for the day. Juan Pablo Zapata from the biker squad had put in a big effort a couple laps ago to set up Arango. But Arango went on the attack, but didn't have the desired outcome of a big split. But, well, there's still a little bit of time. But Pablo did his job. He's now all smiles, going to watch the finish from the shade in the grass there directly across from us.
That Arango again? Jeez. And Hollick right on his wheel. followed by Clever Martinez.
Yes, these riders making their way up into sight right now, and we're going to see 2 to go on the lap cards.
And a Gambler Preem on the next lap. 2 to go, Gambler Preem, 250, 250, 250. $250 for the winner of the next lap.
Oh, you gotta love that Gambler Preem. Everybody's on the rivet. They're cross-eyed. They're trying to figure out what their final play is going to be here. And we ring the bell with 2 to go for that infamous $250 Gambler Preem. So we'll see who's going to go out on a limb here at 56 minutes into the race and try and pocket a little bit of cold, hard cash. I'll tell you what, for all you fans on the outside of the fence, now's your time to shine. We've been putting our focus on the riders, but we'd love to have you all start making a little bit of noise and show these riders a little bit of love. They've been putting on a great show for the better part of 56 minutes, and we've only got about a lap and a half left of bike racing.
Well, that is a very interesting look with 2 laps left to go here at Curiosity Lab at Peachtree Corners. Again, it goes back to last night. In a million years, I would have never thought we'd have 25 guys riding 6 wide with a lap and a half to go.
Yeah, and it looked like Lucas Burgoyne on the point there. Fetzer on the wheel. You got Hollick just a little bit back from them, all representing that Team Cadence, the bike shop-based squad out of McKinney, Texas. Looking very strong. One rider looking like they're making a bit of a move right now, so this could be a big gambler move. The 2 riders rolling off the front right now. We're going to try and identify those riders. It looks like one of the Blazers along with one of the Cadence riders. We'll get our eyes on him here in just a minute. Luke Fetzer is the Cadence rider locked in on the wheel. Maybe that's Tyler Williams, I believe. So Tyler Williams, again, we talked about him last night as having thrown down a lot of chasing efforts late in the race and, well, maybe trying to get a little bit of redemption here, going for that $250 Gambler Preem.
Well, these guys are starting to get themselves a tiny bit of a gap here.
Well, this is a great move for Cadence because Fetzer could well get that Preem. Everyone else in the back has to chase. His teammate Lucas Burgoyne is back there in that group and a very fast finisher in his own right. So could be a good little setup for Burgoyne. So here comes our riders. Fetzer looks like he's going to take that Preem. 1 to go, gentlemen. 1 to go, 1 to go, 1 to go, 1 lap to go.
And Tyler Williams cannot help Fetzer right now. Now he pulls through with a 1 lap to go.
Well, I'll tell you what, Chad, this is going to be a great final lap of racing. Once again, we're going to call on the support of all of our fans on the outside of the fencing. We're going to see our riders coming back across from us here in just a moment. It'll be the final time you see them going that direction, so don't be shy. Make sure you make a little bit of noise. It's been a wonderful day of racing here at Peachtree Corners Curiosity Lab. We are inside the final half lap of racing. Make a little noise for our riders as we are ready to decide the champion here, Robin Carpenter on the front.
And no team has control, Bill, so we've got about 20 riders going for the W here at Peachtree Corners.
All right, Robin Carpenter on the front right now. So obviously you can tell the move is he is going to try and set up his teammate, Ty Magner. Magner, multi-time national champions, a native of Athens. He was so looking for a good ride last night. Didn't quite fall in his favor, but he would love to get it done tonight. Danny Summerhill also in that mix. Jim Brown up there in the duo of Burgoyne and Fetzer from a Team Cadence in that mix as well.
Yep, Bill, that's a great observation. Danny Summerhill has made himself to the front. Now they're closing in on the final hill. We've got less than 2 minutes left of bike racing. Now Carpenter is seeing the front, followed by Brown, followed by Fetzer. Team Cadence, Danny Summerhill is there as well. Wanarango fighting for the Bikers Club. Here they come around the turn. Now they've got to get up to that punchy little hill. Summerhill may be the marked guy for the team in gray. Bill Ellison, what's he got for me?
It looks like we're seeing big Jim Brown, the young man out of England, making his move. He's won a lot of races. He won the sprint jersey at Redlands. Ladies and gentlemen, down to the wire, that is going to be Lucas Burgoyne, Team Cadence, with a big win. Brown, and I believe that's going to be Somerville picking up third place. What a great finish. Lucas Burgoyne with the win. Jim Brown from the Blazers in a second. Danny Summerhill with your bronze medal spot here tonight. Well, that was a well-executed lead out on the part of both the Blazers and the Skyline, the Cadence squad. Luke Fetzer doing everything he could. Richard Holek doing everything he could, and they absolutely delivered Lucas Burgoyne to a big win here at Peachtree Corners Curiosity Lab Speed Week.
Well, Frankie's been calling him Cowboy the entire week, but his friends and his teammate call him the Bullet. Lucas Burgoyne again for Team Cadence gets the W here in Peachtree Corners. He just looked fresh. The team worked tirelessly. A little stretch to the back right there for Pollock's going to get himself some water. All right, so Lucas Burgoyne, when he went by me, I said, "You got a time to catch your breath?" He said, "No, I'm just going to go lay on the ground." Clearly he was not joking, right, Luke? Well, you know what? We're just going to do it your way. All right, Lucas. So tell us a little bit about what went down today, especially after last night and today here in Peachtree Corners. Team worked tirelessly. You're clearly gassed. You have about 30 seconds of air left. Water. All right, Bullet, you ready?
Holy cow. My goodness, that's the hardest course in all of week every year. And they put it after Athens Twilight. That's crazy, bro. Oh my God, you didn't think we got our butts kicked enough yesterday?
Well, so clearly it wasn't quite hard enough yesterday in Athens because you pulled off the win. Tell us a little about the hard work that your team did. I mean, between Hollick and Fetzer and the entire crew from top down. Tell us about the hard work that they did to deliver you.
At about 15 minutes to go, we kind of all got together, and they said, "Who's feeling good?" I said, "I think today I got it." I brought my climber legs out, I guess, and yeah, they just shepherded me around like they always do. Whenever I say I'm good, they're like, "Okay, we'll trust you today," and usually works out. So that was freaking awesome. Shout out to my boys. Shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to Team Cadence Cycling, Encore Wire, also Specialized, all the people that make this happen. I'm probably forgetting a few because I'm like cross-eyed right now, but that's okay. We'll get you next time.
Peachtree Corners winner for Team Cadence, Lucas Burgoyne. Don't even answer me. Just rest up, my friend. Bro. All right, there's your winner. Off to the podium.
we will be moving fairly quickly into our podium presentation. So we'll be looking for Summerhill Brown and Burgoyne down at the brick columns by the White City Hall sign, just down the hill past the finish on the opposite side of the road.
I've paid my dues, time after time. I've done my sentence, but committed no crime. And bad mistakes, I've made a few. I've had my shadows and kicks in my face, but I've come through.
Well, we can do that. We'll do the podium right here. We have that technology. We can do a lot of things. Besides the fact that I think Lucas can't even get up off the ground. All right, so we are doing them down by the brick columns. Frankie Andreu calling the shots. We have jerseys and whatnot to awards. That's where all of our crew is. So we will do the podiums down at the brick columns by the White City Hall. And we've got jerseys to award and all that stuff, and they're all prepared down in that neck of the woods.
I've taken my bows and my curtain calls. You brought me fame and fortune and everything that goes with it. I thank you all, but it's been no bed of roses, no pleasure cruise. I consider it a challenge before the whole human race, and I ain't gonna lose. We are the champions, my friends.
Hey, no. Danny Summerhill. Summerhill, come to the podium. Thank you. And then I'm looking for Jim Brown. I don't know where he is. Jim Brown. Podium coming up in 1 minute. Jim Brown, make yourself known.